Hey family, welcome back to the Straight No Chaser podcast, where the truth doesn't come with no sugar, no filter, and definitely no apologies. Now, I want to jump straight in because the news we've been sitting with these past few days is heavy, right? It can be heavy depending on who you are, right? Now, on September 10th at Utah Valley University, Charlie Kirk, look, I call him Charlie Cook. Charlie Kirk was killed during an event. And immediately, the internet did what it does best. It started speculating, finger pointing, throwing out every kind of story except the truth. And right there, that's the real problem. That's what today's episode is about. This culture we build where lies are currency, propaganda is a payback, and truth doesn't pay enough to keep people honest anymore. Yeah, that's weird, right? Now, before I get too far into it, let me lay down some facts, okay? Especially since we're talking about facts and propaganda and all this other stuff in this episode. Now, Charlie Kirk was killed by a 22-year-old man named Tyler Robinson. He was from Utah. He came from what everybody would call a good home. It was a 2-parent household, conservative, MAGA, the whole nine. You know, the same checklist conservatives love to throw in everybody else's face. Oh, if only they had a daddy in the house, they wouldn't act up. Well, this one had all that. He had a daddy, had a mama, had a grandmama, cousins, nephew, uncle, nieces, everybody. And he still pulled the trigger. So what's the excuse now? Because, you know, with conservatives, anytime reality doesn't align with their speaking points, they either get quiet or just create something new. Now, I want to be clear. Charlie Kirk made a lot of money. He made millions of dollars off of propaganda. Millions, straight up. He built an empire off of it, telling people what they wanted to hear, not what was true. Charlie told you what you wanted to hear, not what was true. He turned lies into a lifestyle brand. And he wasn't alone. He was part of a bigger machine where the goal was not informing you, but to inflame you, get you worked up. And the crazier take, the more money rolled in. That's the thing. The crazier stuff that he said, the more money he made. And that's what propaganda does. It entertains your anger. It validates your bias. And it keeps you tuned in long enough to sell you something. That's the hustle. And Charlie mastered the hustle. He did. That's why I'm confused. Seeing some of the things I'm seeing being said about Charlie now, I'm going, Charlie Kirk wasn't a good guy. Not when you talk about the definitions of good guys. He wasn't one of them. Think about the way he framed issues like immigration, race, and gender. Think about it. His campus tours. He was marketing outrage to young conservatives. That's what he did. He turned complex issues into good guys versus bad guys, all for entertainment. All for entertainment. There was no topic that Charlie wasn't willing to be polarizing about. That's all the more reason why I find it interesting when conservatives say, you can't quote Charlie Kirk when you're talking about Charlie Kirk. And I always ask the question, well, wait a minute. If I can't use Charlie Kirk's own words, so, because you're saying it's wrong and disrespectful. So was what Charlie said racist, homophobic, xenophobic, anti-Semitic when he said it? Or is it only that when I repeat what he said? See? Because Charlie said that stuff. We have proof of the things that Charlie Kirk said. But of course, you're supposed to ignore that and act like it never happened. I can't speak for you, but I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do that. Because see, once Charlie was shot, the second the news hit, instantly, I saw that machine, that conservative machine running. And understand, it's not just the mainstream media. You also have these bot farms out here. Some of these bot farms are run by foreign nations. Some of these bot farms are run by foreign individuals. Some of these bot farms are run in America by American individuals. There's a lot to be done or to be gained by sowing discord amongst Americans. And you start with it on the internet because people apparently believe anything they see on the internet. As long as they saw it on the internet, it must be true. Which is a whole other crazy thing. But for some strange reason, if they see it on the internet, it must be true. So the second Charlie was shot, they started pointing fingers. It had to be Antifa. It had to be a liberal. It had to be some radical leftist. It wasn't any of those things. Hell, even the governor of Utah said he was hoping and praying it's not one of us. Well, God didn't hear your prayers, beloved, because it was one of you. Homegrown. Good old Utah resident. The reason why they didn't want to accept the reality that it could be one of them, because God forbid they face the truth that it's one of their own. That's too much to bear, especially when I done spent all my time vilifying the others, and then the truth doesn't match my propaganda. I got to come up with something. Because they just didn't want to face that this was one of their own. And I'm going to tell you why they didn't want to face it. Because there's no profit. There's no profit in truth. When truth makes you uncomfortable. Who going to give you money when you telling them the truth and it makes them feel bad? Outside of a lawyer, a doctor, and a mechanic. Those are only the couple people that you pay. And you're paying them to give you bad news. Outside of that, there are not too many people or career paths in which you can. Because see, in America, what we have found is lies sell better. Lies sell better. Conspiracies get more clicks in America for whatever reason. That's why people will say anything with no evidence, no receipts, no nothing. For whatever reason, they don't need to quantify their statements and their words. Just vibes and venom. That's it. Because that is the hustle, y'all. That's the hustle. If you get it out first, you get the traffic. And traffic equals dollars. So that's what people are chasing. That's what people are chasing. They want that over everything. Right? Over everything. And Charlie Kirk was no different. Charlie Kirk wanted that stuff too. Here's what I need you guys to understand. Misinformation is not just an accident. It's literally a real business model. They are purposefully doing it. It's not an accident. Because conservative media, they have perfected it at this point. The Fox Newses, the Charlie Kirks. They know that outrage sells. They know that lies travel faster than the truth. They already know this. And propaganda pays better than honest reporting. They know that too. And they don't care about consequences because the check clears either way. You get it? This is why they're so easy to sell you into the propaganda, because for them, I'm making money. I don't care about all the other stuff. See, the conservative outrage ecosystem includes many things. Like I said, it includes your Fox Newses, your your podcasters, your influencers. And see, disinformation is sticky. Why? Because it feeds emotions, not facts. And the people that are putting it out there, they're doing it to trigger you emotionally. Everything's designed to trigger you. Everything is designed to trigger you, because if you become over emotional, then you're going to stay connected. And then when you start feeling that feeling, you get addicted to feeling that feeling. So you keep coming back and letting them feed you more and more and more and more red meat. And the social media platforms, they help to promote it too. Because see, the role of social media and the way those tools kind of work sometimes, it rewards lies. So when conservatives didn't want to face the fact that the shooter was one of their own, it wasn't just about denial, it was dollars. People were making money off of that denial. They were just making money off of it. They were just making money. And they don't want to stop the flow of propaganda because it keeps the money flowing. When you stop the lies, the money stops. When you start lying, the money starts. That's why they start doing it, because they realize there's so many people that have bought into the conspiracy theories and the propaganda and the lies that they make up that they can get away with it. Understand, if actual lies were a stock, conservatives would be trading on Wall Street. Real talk. If lies were stock. And I'm going to tell you, one of the scariest things to me about the amount of lies that get told it's just that they don't even just lie to themselves. It's how they blur the line between like reality and fiction, where it almost will get to a point where it has you questioning what's real and what's not. That's not okay. And when you can't tell the truth from fiction, everything becomes entertainment. Y'all, that's dangerous. That's dangerous when you don't know fiction from reality. Because strong people will use that to their advantage. Strong people will use that to their advantage and manipulate. Because when reality becomes the game, when politics becomes pro wrestling, when news becomes clickbait, you create people who act on delusion instead of fact. They just make shit up. And we've already seen the consequences of that. Did anybody forget about January 6th? That was conspiracy-fueled violence. And now, Utah Valley University. Now at Utah Valley University. While Charlie Kirk was surrounded by people who bought into the same bullshit that Charlie Kirk was selling. Now, I want to shift some of this conversation to content creators. Because you need to hear this. Because this ain't just about Charlie, it's about all of us. If you are creating content, you need to understand, okay? What's just entertainment to you can be life and death to somebody else. Be mindful of what you say. Because that's not an exaggeration in me saying that. That's reality. And if you don't respect that, the consequences will find you. So you got to be careful. This race to be more radical, to be more controversial, more triggering, it might get you clicks today. But it can cost you more than money tomorrow. Because you're planting seeds in people's minds and you don't control how they grow. And sometimes they grow into monsters. I saw that when Trump first came. Down that escalator in 2015. Trump was lying as soon as he got off that escalator. Lied from the beginning. But you know what? Nobody wanted to call it a lie because they didn't want to seem disrespectful. So in not wanting to call it a lie, you let them lie so much that by the time you wanted to call a lie, it was too late. You had lost control of the narrative. You had lost control of the narrative because you never would call it what it really was. That's the problem. You got to learn to call things what they really are and not just what you want them to be. Because while you delay saying you'll control the beast later, what you'll find is there is no later. Because you won't have the influence or the leverage to do any of that. So don't allow it to fester and grow on your watch. Don't promote that shit. Don't push that stuff. Because see, at the end of the day, you only got this life to live. You don't want to risk it, have to spending your time fighting for your safety because you used your words, because words are powerful. I think people forget how powerful words are. Words are extremely powerful. Extremely. Hell, Charlie Kirk forgot how powerful they are. Words are powerful. And in his quest to make money, be a celebrity, be relevant, all these other things, unfortunately, you create this environment that can end up making you unsafe. And you saw so many content creators be jarred by it after it happened. I don't know if any of you noticed that, but I noticed that. You know why they're jarred? Because they know a lot of the shit they say are lies and propaganda. So now they became even more concerned about people being radicalized by lies and propaganda. All of a sudden, it became too much to bear. But it wasn't too much to bear when they were trying to make money from it. You understand? These people know exactly what they do. None of the stuff is by accident. None of it's happenstance. None of this is happenstance. I just think that for most of them, they thought they would be able to continue to control the beast. But the problem is you don't have no control over the beast. Once you start feeding it, you've lost control. Once you start feeding the beast, you have lost control. So as a creator, be mindful of the things that you say. Because you don't get to control what people do with that once you put it out there. Once you put it out there, it's no longer yours anymore. So that's why as a content creator, I am mindful of the things that I say. I am mindful. Because I know everybody doesn't have common sense. Everybody doesn't have they don't have discernment. Everybody doesn't have critical thinking skills. So I feel like that I have a responsibility. If I'm going to turn on a microphone and a camera and speak with authority, that I be mindful about the words that I say. But for so long, people have hidden behind free speech to say stupid, mean, hateful, violent things. It's not okay. You nurture the environment that ends up consuming you. Charlie got consumed by an environment that he helped to create and nurture. Well, he didn't help to create it. Let me be honest about that, because that environment was created even before Charlie Kirk was born. But he certainly helped to nurture it, and he certainly helped to push it to another level. That's a true statement. No propaganda. This is my message to everybody listening to this. Even if you're not a content creator, just be mindful. Be mindful of how much you're willing to risk for money. That's real talk. Because chasing clout with lies and propaganda is not worth it. Integrity has to matter more than views. It has to. Responsibility has to matter more than virality. And truth has to matter more than profit. Because if we don't start checking ourselves, we're going to end up in a society where reality is completely gone. It's going to be where propaganda is the only thing people believe. And that's not just dangerous, y'all. That's deadly. Do you know how hard it is to unprogram somebody, to deprogram somebody? That's hard. It takes effort to program them, but it certainly takes a hardcore concerted effort to deprogram them. Don't participate in the programming of your fellow man, because you have to live in that environment. That environment is going to consume you. You're not going to be safe in that either. Charlie thought he could feed the beast and the beast wouldn't bite him back, but he was wrong. At some point, the beast gets so hungry, it's not satisfied with what you're feeding it anymore, and it wants more, more, more. And that's what happened here. That's what happened here. So this is why I'm telling influencers, content creators, be mindful. Be mindful about the beast that you feed. Because you'll allow your ego to make you think you got control over all of it. You don't. You don't. You don't. You don't have as much control over all of it as you think you do. Because the beast will even make you think that you could probably still take it over, when in fact, once you started feeding it, you lost control. See, Charlie Kirk's death isn't just a headline. It's a warning, for real. A warning about what happens when propaganda becomes the business model, when lies become the hustle, and when truth gets shoved in the back seat. If you're a creator, you've got a choice. You can feed the chaos for clout, or you can stand on integrity. Which one is it gonna be? So, because just know, whatever you choose, the consequences are coming one way or another. The consequence will be paid. The question is, are you willing to pay the fee required to do the things that you want to do? Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm not willing to pay such a hefty fee for having an opinion, especially one that ain't even fucking true. You can keep that. I thank you all for tuning in to the Straight No Chaser podcast. I hope this caused you to think. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about this. What do you think about these content creators who just create controversial and rage bait content? Do you think that that's a good thing to do? What do you think it's doing to society just creating that type of content? I would love to hear from you. I would love to. Please let me know in the comments. And if today's conversation made you think, made you uncomfortable, or made you check yourself, then good. That's what it was supposed to do. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And until next time, what do I always tell you? Don't let nobody live rent-free in your head. Don't feed no trolls, and you can accomplish anything you put your mind to, as long as you stay consistent. Peace, you guys.